and welcome to the Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal. And my co-host tonight is Ms. Gwen Johns. How you doing, Gwen?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a long day, but it's been nice out and got out a few times a day. So it's not too bad.
Nice.
So we've got a couple of interesting men in the backstage. Mr. Carl Johnson and Keith Johnson. We've got demonologists to paranormal investigators to authors.
TV personalities also.
TV personalities. Yeah. So they are definitely a lot of interesting things we can talk about tonight. So let's bring them on.
Come on.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hey guys.
How are you guys tonight?
Hair adjustment here. I guess, well, 'tis the season, you know. Do we like to talk about?
Oh, yeah.
Most definitely. Halloween. I've got an investigation coming up Thursday. I'll be going to Melbourne Manor.
Really? Heard of it, of course. Yeah. Yes, everyone has.
So, but
the results. Yeah.
That'll be an interesting time. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, Carl, and how you got into the paranormal field?
I can't remember much time when I wasn't in the paranormal field. It was before I was shaving regularly. I know that. Keith and I, as he'll elucidate upon, we were raised in a somewhat haunted house. I mean, not every day. Most days were business as usual, but we had some strange things going on there, and that's further sparked my interest.
It wasn't the Amityville house. We didn't have to leave after 28 days, but
yeah. We could have exaggerated and made it like that. And our earliest, don't mean to speak for my brother, but I do frequently. My earliest readings were, besides, like the little golden book, I absorbed the novels Frankenstein and Dracula, Phantom of the Opera. So that expanded my vocabulary back then. And those were always interesting. Famous monsters of filmland. So I was always inclined to I don't know if I want to say the dark side so much as the mysterious, but mysterious can be dark. And then when we had strange things happening in the house, it's like, ooh, now I know it's the ghost. But there were too many things to explain away that happened. Objects disappearing and appearing in different areas of the house where they shouldn't have been, things just vanishing. My father would say, it's eerie. It's eerie the way things vanish in this house. But he never ascribed it to ghostly activity. Keith and I did. So now I'm talking about when I was 14 and 15. When I was 14 years of age, we had the Amazing Oracle, the parlor game, William Fauld's Mystifying Oracle. They called it the Ouija board, the spirit board. And we had, my sister and I would play on that. And so that furthered my interest in the unusual. And we wanted to see if we'd get any results, and we did get results. Sometimes we'd hear bangings on the walls or under the table in response, all genuine. My sister would say, "You're pushing that," and no, I'm not. And we came to realize it was real. So those were formative years, and I wanted to start really seriously investigating these phenomena. So I started taking notes on what was happening. Yeah, so I began seriously investigating when I was 16 years of age. I just couldn't go very many places. It was the house, wherever I could walk to before I had a car. And then by 17, I had joined a group based at Rhode Island College in Providence called PIRO, Parapsychological Investigation and Research Organization. And then we started going out on investigations. But we were looking for residential cases, too, where we could go in and evaluate someone's haunting.
Right.
We found that at an old farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island. So that was our first indoors investigation. But, there was a lot to explore in Little Rhode Island. Vampires' graves, things like that. And ruined structures, hovels of churches. Yeah, we went to some haunted places. So that's how I started. And my second residential case turned out to be a situation of full-blown demonic possession.
Oh, wow.
Oh, interesting.
Well, I was quite young, but by that time I was
26.
26 years. Yeah, he's got it. And I kind of cut my teeth on that one. You know, that's where I learned I would stand my ground, you know, whatever was happening around me. Only because I knew if I fled the scene, if I got out of there, which I wanted to do when things got hot and heavy, I might not ever be able to go back into such a situation again. But I was actually called in to assist with that. It was a young boy, 14 years of age, living in Providence, and he was going under personality changes. And there's a whole background to that story. It's involved. So that was my first, second residential case, but my first demonic case, when I was realizing what really happens at these things, these situations and interventions. And I realized I wouldn't run out. Oh, I wanted to. I knew that my parents' house was 20 minutes away, and there was food in the refrigerator, and I just wanted to get back. But I stuck with it. And
was it more of your curiosity of wanting to know what was there, or?
Well, it started off with that, but it became a dedication where I actually wanted to help this boy and his family, because they had called me in. They had confidence in me. What they thought I was going to do, I don't know, but I did it. And that actually, again, the whole program could be devoted to telling about that, but it was successful. A lot of times these interventions don't work out. Like the thing, whatever it is, the presence comes back after a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, and then they start all over again. But this was actually successful. We helped this young boy. And so from then on in, and then eventually I saw an article in a magazine, and it was about an article about Ed and Lorraine Warren, with whom I was well acquainted. And it mentioned Carl Johnson, the demonologist from Rhode Island. I thought, oh, that's a misnomer, but demonologist. Oh, I like that. I'll go with that. Sure. Yes, I'm a demonologist. So I'm a demonologist until somebody convinces me I'm not, and that's okay. But that's how as succinctly as I can put it, how I got into the field, exploring, investigating, writing on these topics. Now, Keith's story may be altogether different. I don't know.
No,
I was going to ask, did you pull him into it?
Yeah. Well, actually, yes, because I was finding these cases, and Keith, you know, I felt he was essential. Keith always had a camera. Keith was, although where these pictures are, we don't know where they are now after all these years, you know. But Keith and I were both members of that group based at the Rhode Island College, Pyro. So he was also at the house in Harrisville, the Richardson Arnold homestead, more famously known as the Conjuring house.
Yeah, and it's when you get into a situation like that,
later,
you really don't know if you're going to run or you're going to stand your ground until you're in that very situation.
Or trip or vomit or something, you know.
Yes, right.
Or fall on the stairs.
I decided I was going to stay and try to help people, and I had my faith to back me up. But I've seen a lot of people run from the situation too, in terror. And they say that I can take anything that's here. Did that one time when we were members of the Atlantic Paranormal Society, and I've been talking all the way up to this case in Lewiston, Maine, and also there was Skowhegan, Maine, in a couple of demonic cases we did in the state of Maine. And this young lady was saying, "Oh, I really want to experience. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm going to learn." And as soon as she stepped foot in it, she just felt the atmosphere and said, "I'm out of here." And she started running out. And our founder of our group wasn't too happy with her after that, but because she did that in front of the family. But again, you don't know how you're going to react until you're actually faced with it.
That's true.
Yeah, it's like swimming out over your head in the ocean, you know, with the currents. You don't know how you're going to react until you're out there, and then you have to keep swimming. You have to keep treading water. The big element of that is the unexpected. But if you leave prematurely, if you walk out of a case and say, I just am not into this, that will not instill confidence in the people you're trying to help. They'll say, well,
no, it won't.
Well, we called in these people that we thought they were the experts. If they're leaving, what's going to become of us? So you kind of have to, even if you don't feel that confident, you have to project it. And then it becomes real. The confidence comes.
Right. Well, we got Thomas, who's saying hello, Gormley, who is going to be Mr. Salem Khan himself.
Yeah. Oh. Hello, Thomas.
We got Pam, we got Thomas, we got
Christy.
yeah, Christine. I'm losing track of them. We've got Marla.
Marla.
I think Marla's coming with us to Salem also. She's a friend of myself and Litriana.
Well, I'm going to be seeing a lot of these people in a
yeah.
few weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have some
Most
fun and
optimistically,
enjoy
yeah.
some.
Oh, we'll have to be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, that collection of personalities sure will be.
I know you can't talk about, you know, your clients in general, but can you talk about the case in general with the little boy, of some of the effects that was having on him at the time?
That's safe ground now because it's you know, it's over 40 years ago now. So you know, getting close to 50 years ago. So yeah, we can discuss that. It was in Providence in the Armory District, which is kind of a dark and spooky corner of the west end of Providence. There's a big, you know, military armory that was in use with the National Guard, but then, you know, now it's used for public functions at times. But this was, if you walk these streets, you know you're not in the best section. It kind of looked like Georgetown in the movie The Exorcist, how that's portrayed, you know, dark dank streets. And the people, I knew this family because I lived in Puerto Rico for 4 months. I actually went there to research Santeria there. Got stuck down there a little longer.
That'd be very interesting. Yes.
Oh, it was challenging, to say the least. And I came back with more experience, more knowledge. And so I was acquainted with this family. They were Dominican and Puerto Rican. And then and of course, they're raised in a spiritual environment where they believe in, you know, the spirits of deceased people can communicate with us. And sometimes they're resentful. And there are wicked spirits that can find their way in. So that was the culture. And, but still, they were like fairly normal, even-keeled people. But their 14-year-old son started to have episodes. And like I said, it's rather involved. This started when he was walking through a cemetery in the west end of Providence, and not far from where he lived. And he found a woman's glove just lying in the pathway in the cemetery. He picked it up and brought it home with him. And his godmother said, "Oh, you should never have brought that home." His godmother was Santerian. And she said, "That has evil in it. You know, you bring that back. You've taken it from something." So he went to bring the glove back, and the glove had vanished. I actually had a similar experience when I was in my teens. The glove appeared in the hallway of my parents' house, and we wondered if the beagle had gotten it from something. And, you know, my mother didn't recognize it. It was a single right-handed glove. So I put it on the kitchen table, turned around later like within the hour, that was gone. And later on, in retrospect, I wondered if the two situations were related somehow.
Yeah, wouldn't it be something if that turned out to be the same glove?
Yes, I was sitting here thinking.
Yeah, spirits don't live in the same time dimension necessarily that we do.
Yeah.
And they can do the waiting game. They can wait for years and years and then do their thing.
And you know what's coming into vogue in paranormal theory? It's not so much, you know, Uncle Louie's come back to visit us, or the spirit has unfinished business. Now researchers are starting to delve into quantum explanations, you know?
Yeah.
And there's of course, there's more to the theory has been verified. Quantum entanglement talks of when two particles can vibrate and react in precisely the same way, regardless of distance, whether they're a millimeter apart from each other or a galaxy away from each other, they can react the same way. There's it's not by any normal reasoning that this happens. So maybe I have wondered if that was the same glove, because it vanished. Nobody could explain it. I'd like to think it was, but there's no way I can know now. I never photographed it, but nobody could identify that woman's glove. Yeah, so he went to bring the glove back. He tried to put it back and it was already gone. And it was around that time he started to experience divisions in his character, his personality. Wow. Yeah, we might call it bipolar or mood swings now, but he would have severe swings in his demeanor and his equilibrium.
And usually when somebody's bipolar, they don't make furniture move and change the atmosphere and temperature changes. That usually is not a part of it when it's purely organic or psychological.
Yeah, it had enough manifestation to support a genuine haunting, and this would be in tandem with his episodes, particularly religious artifacts and items, family artifacts. That would be like religious pictures would drop off the wall when he'd go on, just before he'd go under. In fact, when it was coming on, this other personality, which was a hostile, wild personality, not just like bizarre fits, although that was part of it, but it was sinister, it was wild. He'd become wild. He looked feral when he was taken over by this. So that's when I was called in, and of course,
such a nice young boy too.
Well mannered, nice,
very nice, very polite,
handsome
high pitched voice, very sweet, and normally. But when we came there to participate in this exorcism, I had been led to believe, because we'd interviewed the family, they said they're Roman Catholic. I thought it was going to be a Catholic exorcism with a ritual Romanum and everything. I was asked to assist, and I would love to assist. I would love to assist a priest in an exorcism, a bona fide exorcism. And I will only speak when asked, when appropriate. I will be very obedient. I was all set for this. And I came in very different setting than I thought. It was a table laid out with candles and a big punch bowl. I was thinking, what is that? The hors d'oeuvres? That's the dessert? That's the refreshments? No, that's the holy water. It was all pulpy with fruit in it and everything. And I said, where's the priest? I began asking the priest, and Carl told me, oh, there is no priest. Lucas's aunt is going to perform the exorcism.
And I had just found that out myself.
Yes.
Wow.
And I said, well, isn't this a Catholic exorcism? Said, this is a Santerian exorcism.
Yeah. So I didn't react visibly. Inwardly, I'm thinking, hamana.
Yeah, I know.
I will go along with it. We have to. We're here. So we did our role as we intended. And it was not so much an exorcism, but it was effectively an exorcism. We'll call it an expulsion, where the spirit is driven out. And I've got to say that if it weren't for my brother and me being there, I don't think it would have succeeded. Not in the same way and not immediately as it did.
Because it was chaos, so I don't think it would have.
Oh, I looked down. There was a picture of Jesus on a table, and I was hoping that the boy would, get distracted and look at it. So I was standing next to it. Within a minute, I looked back down at the picture. It was upside down. It had inverted itself.
Oh.
And just a week before, I had spent an overnight at that house. I was invited to observe him up on the third floor of this 3-story house, and that was hairy, because it was around 1 a.m. and his bedroom was across from me. The door closed, and I was just drifting off. I was on a sofa. I was just drifting off. All of a sudden, I was awakened by this blood-curdling scream. I mean, I didn't know what had happened. He's screaming. So I fumbled for the wall switch, turned on the overhead light, and as I did, this boy's bedroom door flew open like that, and his body came out of it like as if he was being thrown and tossed. He was spinning unnaturally. I remember the swishing sound of his body going across the floor, and this was no act. He was terrified. He was screaming for help, and he was careening against the walls. He started to climb up the wall and then slid down it. And so his family was alerted by this noise. I'm standing there transfixed because I've never seen anything like that. I still would be transfixed by it. And so he did kind of a backwards flip, and he landed on the sofa where I'd been reclining. And he started to jump up and down, wave his hands. This deep guttural laughter came out of his throat. And then he looked at me with this feral expression. He pounced on me. I held him down. Well, I tried to. I was my normal 200 pounds, and he just pushed me right off. Then he came to himself, started calling for his uncle, to whom he was close. So that when it was decided that we would do an expulsion, and they certainly wanted me there for that. We didn't know it was going to have trappings of Santeria.
This boy probably weighed 90-something pounds. He was not a big
slender, tall, but rather slender, and he just had preternatural strength. So, and I'm thinking, I don't practice Santeria.
Yeah, right.
It was successful. It climaxed when the boy was coming toward me like this Dracula stance. He was coming right toward me. And I didn't know what to do, so I said, "Stop." I held my hand up. And he paused. He did. With confidence I hardly felt, I told him to stop. And I came up to him and I put my hand on his shoulder and said, "You're going to be all right." And it was successful.
Yeah.
And even sometime before that, it was a horrendous couple of hours. I felt like I was being taken over. And I thought, this must be suggestion. I don't know what's going on. But I suddenly felt this onrush of emotion that was alien to me. I felt a mixture of panic and rage. I said, what am I just giving into this? What is it? And this is very real. It's palpable. It's like a voice was telling me to jump out the window.
Oh, wow.
So I just concentrated on my own sense of self. And the effort left me sweaty. It's like, no, not giving in.
You know, this, we were sitting in a semicircle. Now, my brother's chair, it was not a small chair.
This man has a photographic memory. I do not.
About some things, yes. Some things.
My photographs faded. My photographs were Polaroids. My mental photographs.
But he was sitting in a rather large family easy chair, and we heard this rumble, and it was right outside. We thought it was a truck going by, but no, it came through the floor, and we could feel it under our feet.
I was thinking tremor. Earthquake or truck going by, but it was neither of those. Didn't have the signs of those.
And I just saw the question with the difference between something that may be residual or an actual demonic case. Well, this is when we started experiencing preternatural activity, and it came through the floor. The atmosphere changed like that. You could feel it. You feel it draining from you.
Mm-hmm.
And the chair my brother was in just started going backwards, sliding backwards. And Carl's looking around like this because nobody's touching it.
Essentially, the room groaned. It was like rumble, and they got deathly quiet. And then brrr, and then my chair boom, 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 went back. I didn't have a chance to be scared. I was just like,
I could hear the chair moving.
I thought somebody was pulling it behind me, but no.
Yeah. And my brother was talking about when he felt something trying to enter him. That was interesting because we're in the semicircle.
It had my attention, yeah.
Yes. And then he kind of fought it off psychologically. And then it went to the young woman who was on my left. And she started screaming, grabbing her hair. "Oh, Dios mío," screaming, panicking. It's because it was on her. And it's like it tested Carl, went by me, and it went to her. Now, it didn't touch me at all. It didn't have anything to do with me. I think the only reason for that was I happened to have a Bible open on my lap. So it just passed right by me.
There certainly were religious overtones because that picture of Jesus inverted itself and things like that had happened. And the boy became scared of religious objects.
And it's interesting, in the really middle of the exorcism, the woman who was conducting it, now she had a familiar or a Loa spirit, a friendly spirit that was her spirit guide that lived, as she said, in this little black painted Buddha statue. I've never seen a black painted Buddha statue, but this black painted little smiling Buddha statue said it lived in that. Well, at one point, all of a sudden, it apparently came out and it went into her. She goes into what looked like a tonic-clonic seizure. She becomes rigid, falls backwards into the table, smashing it and just on the floor, and she's writhing and convulsing. But all of a sudden, I've seen plenty of seizures. I've never seen somebody come out of it this quick. Suddenly she sits up with this ridiculous smile on her face, and her eyes are very serpentine and black. And she's saying in Spanish, she's just waving back and forth like this. Says, "Yo fumo, yo fumo." She wants a cigar. They give her a cigar, and she's like this. She's going to tell everybody's fortune. So naturally, everybody runs over. "Oh, tell my fortune, tell my fortune." And that kind of draws the attention away from what we were there for.
Yeah, she thought she was back on the island.
So this is why I think these spirits do work in tandem with each other.
Communicating with each other. Now, it's horrific to talk about, but it's one of those situations where you had to be there to really appreciate it. The one thing after the other. What's going to happen moment to moment, we were wondering.
You see, when somebody comes under possession, usually their expression remains fixed. Quite often it will remain fixed throughout their duration of possession, transient possession. Now, she had what I call the comedy Laughing in Sorrow tragedy on the theater. you know,
The
smiling and
masks,
frowning. Yeah, the mask there. She had the smiling one. I call it the comedy face. Her eyes were all blacked out like a mask, and she had this ridiculous smile on, but her swaying, but her expression did not change. Years later, I was at a case of possession where this older woman, she had the same,
Marguerite.
yes, Marguerite, she had the same expression on, except hers was the frown. It was just the frown, and she's salivating and everything. Her eyes very blacked out, and her expression just did not change, and she's swaying exactly the same way.
So this is that darker side of demonology. Now, about the boy's case, in retrospect, I've evaluated this and gone over my notes and what I remembered, and I would explain it all from a psychological standpoint, despite the phenomena, which can happen, like the poltergeist phenomena. The PK, psychokinetic influence, can manifest this way. So,
do you think that his mind was innocent enough that he was still able to connect with everything around him like it was normal, not knowing that everything is the way we've been taught?
Well, he used to come out of this, and then he told me, I was one of the few people that dared to be in the room alone with him. So he was talking to me, and he told me when he comes out of this, he started crying. I felt so bad for him. He said when he comes out of this, people tell him he's done these terrible things and he doesn't remember. They said, you know, you swore, you broke furniture, but he didn't remember anything of it. And that would just kind of rob him of his identity, and he would cry because he didn't mean to do these things. He wasn't even aware of it and seemingly had no conscious memory of it.
I was in touch with his family for like 3-4 years later, and he was 14 at the time. So when he was 16, this was not on the forefront of our minds, but I decided to ask him. I said, you know, you had an episode. I hadn't thought of it in a while. You were going under these transformations. You went through a rough time, but you obviously came out of it. What do you remember about it? He said, no, I don't remember too much about it. He was kind of diffident about it. He said, yeah, I knew something happened.
Right. But when I talked to him, he was really, really upset and really crying. You know,
I'm glad it receded for him.
I'm glad Carl stood his ground. I would have stood my ground, but I was on the floor because we had just tried to hold him down, 3 of us, and we got thrown. And after 2 people went off of him, I was the only one left holding him down. So he just threw me, and I was on the floor. So
he doused me with the holy water, didn't he?
He tipped that over and everything like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I definitely can understand the strength factor. We had one of my first cases that I experienced was with a little boy with an attachment. He was about 12 going on 13. And he ended up picking up the front of a riding lawnmower that's got like 3 blades and bouncing it like a basketball.
Oh, my goodness.
And it took 3 of us to hold him down that night. And the temperature changed, like you guys explained during your scenario as well. And
psychiatrists, yeah, somatically we refer to it as AMC or AC, depending on the psychological doctors, accelerated motor performance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, did he by chance, did that young man, by chance he talk in tongue at the time as well?
I don't recall that he did.
Yeah. No, I don't recall him. Recall him growling a lot and yelling. You know, he hates candles and everything. But I don't think he spoke in tongues. His aunt did. But his aunt was also of Hispanic, Puerto Rican origin. So she would have been bilingual. So I don't know how much she spoke. Some of it sounded like gibberish. Some of it sounded like Spanish. But yeah, there are instances where people do speak in tongues in multiple languages that they've never known or studied.
And it's valuable to record it audibly if you can get an audio recording, because sometimes it turns out when you slow it down, here that it's a language like Latin or someone less familiar language. You know, you can pick out some words here and there to show it is a different language. But everything was happening so rapidly, and we didn't record it.
Well, I can definitely understand. I mean, this little boy that we had with the case that we had, he was snarling and he was wanting to claw us when we were holding him down.
Gee, I wish you'd called me.
we got it taken care of. He hasn't had any problems.
Yes, no, good for you.
But yeah, it was definitely interesting, and I definitely know the feeling you guys are talking about when the temperature changes and
yes,
all that builds up in there, because I definitely felt it that night when we were taking care of the situation.
You feel you are better prepared now because of having gone through that ordeal and witnessed it?
Oh yeah, most definitely. One of my guides is the one that showed me how to take care of that situation, because he's the one taught me how to do that. And it happened the night before the whole situation happened. And if it wasn't for my guide teaching me that, I would have never known what to do. It was like second nature to me on what I had to do that night.
That's interesting, because my wife Sandra and I have actually trained. Well, we've trained clergy in this respect. Obviously they're very well educated if they're a pastor, but in seminary they don't usually go over demonology that heavily. And we've had some who really wanted to know, wanted to learn, so we've taken them on some situation with us, like our good friend Father Bob Bailey, who's been on your show.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, he really wanted to experience, but hadn't learned too thoroughly in seminary. And so he called me and asked, can I go with you people to some of your cases? And we said, sure. And we took him on his first deliverance case, and went well. That it was not a permanent effect, but it did work for temporarily to calm somebody who had an attachment. And of course, there was the case in Coventry, Rhode Island.
Oh yes, that's
yeah. We took Father Bob on that, and he was kind of profusely perspiring, and the papers he was holding were kind of shaking, but he did get through it. He got through it.
That was quite the situation.
I mean, it's your first time doing this. If you can get through that's wonderful. Yeah. That's a blessing.
Get over the hump. Yeah.
Yeah, the strength that this young man had, it took three of us to hold him down. So I can just imagine, the same type of scenario with you guys taking care of that situation, because
that young man was not a big guy, was he?
No, he was actually probably 120 pounds, 130 pounds soaking wet. Mm-hmm. And it took three of us adults just to put him down and be able to do the ritual on him to get rid of what was there. And I don't think it was a full-blown possession. I think it was an attachment that was starting to come about.
Yeah, those are strange things.
And we detoured it.
Right.
So, Carl and Keith, after you experienced that first,
you never
when you got
forget
to help them, did you guys ever say, I don't think I'll ever do this again? Did you ever do that?
No, I don't think Carl ever has, and I don't think I ever have. We have seen others, friends of ours, contemporaries, who have said that this is the last in-home investigation I'm doing because there was phenomena. We have seen that, yeah. But we ourselves, we wondered at the beginning how we would react, but thank the Lord that we did stand our ground, and we stayed with it. And here we are still doing it all these decades later.
I've had moments where my resolution seemed to weaken. You're like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. Then I'd get a call and somebody needs help.
Yeah.
And all that resolution came back, and enthusiasm.
Well, you guys have each other too, so
yes,
maybe that helps. Yeah.
We're just not conjoined, but we do work together sometimes. Yeah. Boy, we could have our own series.
Yeah,
we'd be.
And we've been Carl gave a talk just the other day. I assisted him. It's actually yesterday on the origins of Halloween. It's interesting, some of the origins, little known facts about how this all came about, and of course the ancient Celts celebrating Samhain, and they used to often start a big roaring fire, and that was to dispel the evil spirits. They believed in the family members coming back, but they wanted to dispel all the unholy spirits or evil spirits that might have been there, and they dress up in animal skins, put animal heads on them, and around
those were the original Halloween costumes.
Right, because fire was purified too. Yeah. And they would throw bones, animal bones, in the fire, and that's where you get bone fire or bonfire, as you know.
Yeah. We're actually Christina Bloom has a podcast with us, and we're having a few people kind of like call it a round table if you like. We're going to discuss that same thing this week.
Wonderful.
So we may pick your brain if we get stuck. Yeah.
We'll make a way to, speak to us about it. Yeah. As you know, Halloween used to be taken quite seriously. And when I say used to, I'm talking about the Dark Ages. I'm talking about 1,500 years ago and 2,000 years ago.
Yep.
And before that, the time of darkening, as it was known then. Then eventually it became somewhat incorporated into the Catholic Church, the church. And then it became All Saints Day and All Hallows Day and All Hallows Eve,
Yep.
All Souls Day.
Have you seen the photographs of some of those children's, the way they dressed up with their own costumes from the early 20th century, late 19th century?
Yeah.
Some of them are downright spooky. I mean,
They are.
Today, they're downright spooky.
Yeah, some of them are AI, but you look into them,
Right, but
you
the
see some of them like, ooh.
Actual old photographs of some of these
Right.
children. Wow.
Yeah, I love old photographs anyway, but I have been kind of researching. I'm gonna be the producer, of course, but I'm gonna be in there too, and I don't know everything. That's why when you started talking about it, I was like, "Yep, I just learned a lot of this." How about the pig's blood on the doorways? Am I right? On the doors or doorways or arches?
Yes.
I can't remember what they called it, but I was looking at that. That was the last thing I was looking at. Was it pig's blood? Am I right?
Sometimes it was pig's blood. Could be any animal sacrifice, but quite often pig's blood.
Right.
And so interesting. We're at a house. Sandra and I were at a house about maybe 15 years ago or so, and this woman we'd already been there once, and we came back again. She was still having problems, and her boyfriend was doing renovations in the house. And speaking of an archway, he's redoing an archway.
Oh.
And we were saying, "Oh, we like what you do," and we're recording. I'm recording the whole time, and we're saying, "Oh, this is beautiful. We like what you're doing here," and complimenting them. When I played it back, this deep voice comes out and says, "Amazing stuff."
Wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting how
You never know who's listening or what's listening.
Exactly.
Disembodied voices, generally referred to as EVP, electronic voice phenomena, they can seem to be observing us and comment almost with diffidence. They say, "Oh, what are you doing?" Like interesting stuff. One was like long. Keith, only one investigation he was on with TAPS, the Atlantic Paranormal Society. I don't think I was there for that one, but at the end of it, they didn't get any voices except for this one towards the end, and it says, "Long night."
Yes, right.
And it's not just. I think it says this. It's what I was saying.
No, that was in Class A.
Night.
Yeah, there's no doubt what it was saying. It's interesting that sometimes you get EVP and they seem to have respiration. They seem to be breathing, even though they're disincarnate beings, and yet they seem to have this breathy quality sometimes. Sometimes it's just like staticky and electronic, but this is very, very breathy and very sultry sometimes.
Do you think sometimes they're reliving that last few breaths when they're talking in that state of mind?
It's an unsettling thought, but I do think
if it's residual, yes.
Yeah. Have you ever had I was just for this, have you ever had one speak and you could hear it in one ear with your hearing and not hear it in the other one?
Yes.
Have you?
I did. In fact, it was almost a physical sensation. I could feel it tickling inside.
Like you could, not long ago, I was doing the Estes method in a place that had never been investigated, but is known to have nothing bad, but just activity. And I was sitting on, I guess you would consider it a stage. And I was doing this, of course, blindfold, everything on, and everybody else is talking. And they said that and when I do mine, I kind of just go and I don't realize what I'm saying. I don't honestly remember what I'm saying most of the time. But the one thing that I do remember, and they got it because they were, recording it, is that I said, "There's a kid over here, but none over here." And then I remember that it felt like they were blowing, almost talking like with your breath into my ear, but it was only in this one. And that was the first time I had remembered that happening. So that was a little bit different, but it was just a child just talking.
Sometimes they're aware that you can hear them, and that's a magnet for them. They know this person can hear me and see me sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was not on the recorder. This was me hearing it myself. But on top of that, I had the the instruments going and everything too, and it was just why at that moment it was weird. It was very strange, and I hear stuff anyway, but that's the first time that has ever happened quite like that. But they were right here, is what it felt like.
That must have resonated with you. Do you were you Well, you were startled, obviously. Were you scared?
Oh,
You
no,
think? Or-
no, I wasn't startled
you?
or scared. I just somehow with everything else going on, and they said I never missed a beat. I said there's a child, and I was like, but I do forget most things after a few minutes in the Estes method, but
Like
I
somebody,
remember that.
like somebody would forget the dream the next day. You try to remember.
Yeah, it's because I let myself, I just make myself just be in the moment is the only way I know it. But yeah, it was interesting. I usually hear it, and I hear with both or even feel them, but no, to hear it in one ear, that was.
I'd like to see you do that sometime. It does sound fascinating.
Well, we will be in Salem.
Yeah, well, we'll get you. Make sure you have a blindfold, or somebody does.
Well, I always have my little kit with me, so.
That's good. Come prepared. Very good.
Yeah, I do because anytime I don't, I always miss out on something. So I just have my little pack. It's got a few little things in it, and I put it on there, put it on the plane with me, and here we go. So,
my first EVP that I ever recorded, and I didn't even know what an EVP was, said my name. It was slow. I didn't expect any voice to come out, but right away I thought, is this a spirit speaking to me?
mm-hmm.
And it sounded as though it was saying, and Keith probably has a copy of the recording. It said, it sounded like it was saying, someone help me. So after a few plays, I said, that's saying someone help me. So my friend Mark, I was with him when we recorded this, and we weren't trying to. And his recorder could accelerate, and he sped it up, and then it sounds, I don't know if it was either gender, but a voice says, Carl, help me, help. And there's tapping, like dum 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 dum. So,
do you find that often when there's EVP, there's a tapping that goes along with it?
Mm-hmm.
Quite often there's a tapping sound, yes.
what I wanted to do was like, oh, well, we're getting right down to this, and we're going to help cross the spirit over or whatever.
The spirit rescue, yes.
Yeah, I never knew what to. I attempted a spirit rescue, but I didn't know what to. I still don't know what
that's
I could
before
do
we knew the term electronic voice phenomena. We'd never heard of that.
Oh yeah.
Then a few years later, I was watching Leonard Nimoy on In Search Of, and they had this episode about EVP. That's what happened. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the only one who gets this.
That's interesting. Yeah. That is, but they call my name quite often, even if I'm not there. People that I know,
really?
and at locations that I've been, and even like I said, just people I've investigated with or just know, they'll call me and go, "They're calling you," and I'm
Yep, popular in the
like,
spirit.
"Okay, how y'all doing?" Yeah, so
We have a guest. We have a guest here. She says, "What is the tapping sound you hear during the EVP?"
Oh, I never knew what that was. I know very little about that experience except that I had it. It sounded like somebody, I don't know, maybe tapping on the table or tapping on the microphone, because back they had a,
I was going to say maybe
mic.
Yeah, maybe they're actually touching whatever is recording.
Yeah, I took it to be like, we want your attention, or I want your attention.
True.
But I know next to nothing about it. I wish I could help the entity. Maybe time is not the same thing,
right?
In that dimension. I wondered if it was me talking to my, from the future, talking to myself. It was a spirit used to appear in that basement setting. It was my parents' house, and a spirit used to appear to me there, but not like, I think I feel it coming. No, this was who's in the room walking through, and it was a woman in vintage clothing, and I saw her altogether. I believe I saw her 3 times very clearly, and it might have been her. I don't know, but the house was some months younger than my brother and myself, so I don't know what to do for her or it. I just naturally, I feel a simpatico with the spirit, if it's in distress.
Yeah.
Now, some people might say, oh, that's demonic. That's trying to lead you astray. To what purpose? I don't know why it would be deceiving me, because I just didn't know what to do for the spirit. But if I find a way to help, or if I get more information, even though it was so long ago, then I will.
I think that spirit came from actually the house next door, which was a very old historic house. It was the first house in Situate where we lived to have plumbing installed. And my grandfather owned that house.
That could be.
And where our house was originally a pony corral, but it was part of his property. Now that house was very old. The property was very old. I think it was drawn over from that property. It's my personal opinion.
Could be.
Because it never identified itself except for the name Sylvia, which it's spelled out on a spirit board.
Now, if I could repeat that experiment, I would speak to the spirit and say, I would have questions ready. I would say, and I'd have a pad and paper ready and say, how can I help you? Cross you over, pray for you, forgive, find forgiveness for you. I'd have questions, very basic questions. Understand you, believe in you. Of course, I no longer have access to that house. The house is still there, but I really can't. Despite some people requesting, I can't go to that house and say, listen, I used to live here. Do you have anything strange happen? Yeah.
Somebody asked,
please leave us in space.
You're
the one from television.
Yeah, somebody's asking possession. Why can't it be a good spirit instead of always being demonic? You want to cover that, Carl?
Oh, I think it can be a good spirit. Yeah, I mean, a spirit wouldn't enforce themselves, a good intention spirit, and try to take over unless it was very misguided. But I don't think they're all wicked or evil or deceptive. They're just very inscrutable, hard to understand, and mysterious. No, some of them, I don't divide it into devils and angels. Some people, that's the dichotomy, and that's what they believe. I just think there are impressions that are left behind. And they're not all bad. Sometimes I have little conversations with them. I mean, they don't always jibe us. They don't always tease us. Sometimes they're just like, hey,
Yeah.
Hello. There was a spirit in historic Slater Mill, the birth of the American Industrial Revolution. The main building was built in 1793. And I used to work there as a guide and various positions there, programs development. And the 3 buildings on campus were thoroughly haunted. Again, not every day, but things would happen there. And it became very known to be haunted. And in Slater Mill itself, and this would happen in the daytime during tours, you'd hear a boy's voice. And these old mills were notorious, these textile mills were notorious for having children work in them. So you'd hear a little boy say, hello, clear as anything. Daytime, nighttime, hello. So they're not all malicious, no. Sometimes they're a little lost, or they just don't want to leave. We don't know where they go. We don't know if crossing them over is helping them, but we don't know what else to do. I say, I hope you find peace. I hope you find the peace you're seeking. And I actually become the ghost at Slater Mill. I used to become friends with them. There was Becca, a little girl's ghost. Oh, she was recorded. She was seen. She would move objects around. There was Becca in one house, 1758 house. In Slater Mill, a little boy, and sometimes a woman weeping. And then in the Stone Mill, the Wilkinson Mill, which was built between 1810 and 1811, that spirit was darker. That was a shadow ghost, a shadow person.
Yeah. Kathy just said, demons are very misunderstood.
Yes, I sympathize to a degree. I think demons are very misunderstood. That's what, it goes with the nature, demons. Again,
there's so much we just don't know.
Right.
It's just
I do agree with that too.
And even though I'm a demonologist, I'm not a literalist when it comes to demons. We can't know them, so I dismiss them to a degree as far as analyze them. I can speculate, but I depart from belief and just try to go on what evidence there can be. So this is my mission, if you will, to usher in a new demonology, freeing demonology from the cobwebs of medieval thought. It'll never be totally intellectualized, but try and do a more objective and scientifically based study of this phenomenon.
Somebody's name's Becca. She said she just got goosebumps.
Oh, hi, Becca. Different Becca.
Yeah.
We love
So
Becca.
do you either one of you have a spirit guide or have ever had anything like that?
Oh, I don't know. I've had plenty of psychically gifted people tell me that I have a woman watching over me.
I believe I have angelic watching over me. I do believe.
A sound, yes.
Yes. Especially after some of the stuff you would.
Yeah.
Demons are soldier.
Yes. One time I was driving. It was shortly the week before my wedding, the weekend before my wedding. I was driving. It was a Friday. I was driving home from work. I was just about to turn onto the highway and I had the red light turn green. And I was just about to go, and I heard a voice say, "Don't go just yet." I mean, it was in my mind, but very, very clear. A woman's voice said, "Don't go just yet." So it was a Friday. I had the green light. I said, "Well, I'm going to stay here till people start beeping at me, and then I'll go." But I was just about to go. All of a sudden, this girl about 13 years old went right in front of me on a bicycle.
Oh, that was
So that was like seconds.
I just got cold chills bad when you said that. So yeah.
And I was very thankful for that, for the spirit telling me that. Thankful to God that I was allowed to hear that. You know, although I was alone and nobody was with me, that was wonderful that happened at that moment.
Oh yeah, the experience I had just 2 years ago. I was driving down Mineral Spring Avenue, or Miserable Spring Avenue, as many people call it. I was going down this big hill. It goes down. It's called Mineral Spring because of the mineral water that flows down from Canada underneath the surface. And I was driving down and ready to get in the hill, and I saw what looked like two skateboarders, or maybe they had scooters. Scooters that looked like they were just weaving back and forth down at the bottom of the hill. And I said, "Those fools, silly boys." And then I said, "Wait a minute, those aren't scooters. What is it?" It's like Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know, "That's no moon. You know, those aren't scooters." And I realized they were two tires, like sizable truck tires, that must have fallen off the back of a truck. I never saw the truck. I don't know how they got there, but these things are coming. They're going up the hill against gravity, but the momentum kept them going. This was all within a few seconds. I said, this is amusing. They're getting closer to me.
They're coming right toward you.
Then I realized, they're coming right towards me. And they're sailing. They're at a high velocity. These truck tires, you know, like they're 4 feet tall. And they're coming at me. And I said, this is going to kill me. If they hit my car, they are going to smash in the top of my car and the windshield. And there's no way, if I stop, I'm dead. If I keep going, I'm gone. And I just said, I am not ready for this. But, you know, you don't know what you'll feel. There was no calmness about it. But I just had to keep going. I slowed, but I couldn't stop right away because there was a car in back of me. Well, these cars and these tires are coming, the black things coming towards me. What happened is, and I'm talking about like less than 5 seconds before impact. They were about 3 seconds away from me. One of them went off to the side. The last second, the foot went off to the side, ding, 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 ding. And the other one went over the top. It bounced, went over the top of my car. That's how fast I was going. Went over my car and hit and damaged the stop sign. Bent the stop sign. Now, perspective. I could look upon that as like that was divine, that the angels pushed these tires away, because it looked like that. The angels pushed them away. Or I could say it's just chance. You know, that happened. I'll never forget it, but it has the hallmarks of something divine. Or I could say, why were these coming at me in the first place? Was it demonic? Something's after me. So you can interpret the reality different ways. In the final resolution, you can say, that's just chance. It just happened. But that was a pretty bizarre experience. But it did seem like something pushed them away from me. I was just, analyze it later. Just get me out of this.
Yeah.
So I was meeting my research partner, Elise, for coffees. And I saw her. Hello. What a wonderful morning it is. Let's sit and talk.
Hey, feel relief to be back in the normal world.
Yes, am I really here? I think I am. But giving you the willies thinking about it now.
When the tires jumped over the top of you and went different directions, did you actually feel any energy around you at the time?
Fear.
I know some people pick up energy and feel energy.
Not really, because I was too much in the moment to really experience anything extraneous or even related to that. Just to see that big tire flew over my car when I thought it was going to smash into my windshield. What can I do? I can't get away from it.
No.
And I mean, it would be catastrophic if I just lay down in the car and just went out and hit the stop sign. So it was something. And then it's amazing the amnesia that comes in. You're like, I was almost taken out, but we'll go about my day and I'll be shopping later. But with a renewed appreciation of being in one piece. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
the reason why I asked that, because
Yes.
I was in a car accident a while back, and the car went underneath the back end of the truck, but it felt like there was energy around me, and everything was going in slow motion, and I seen the airbag go off, and it missed me probably by an inch.
Oh yeah, I didn't feel anything that seemed spiritual. It was more like experiential. That just the physicality of it. Like what was happening there. So I really didn't have time to experience anything else. Analyzing it later, I've thought about it a lot.
But how did you feel? You said you felt some energy about you.
I felt like there was an energy around me at the time because it seemed like everything slowed down in slow motion. And I was watching the car go underneath the back end of the truck, and it was peeling up the front of the hood to the windshield. And the airbag was going off, and I seen everything going in slow motion, but it just felt like I was in that little energy bubble at the time.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you did experience something in that level. By the way, I'm glad we're having this conversation, considering what we both went through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but wow. Yeah, but that'll always stick with me.
Another time, it's nothing
you're
shocking or anything, but my wife Sandra and I were at the Sprague Mansion in Cranston, Rhode Island. Now, that was the home of our Civil War governor, William Sprague. Incredible history on that family. If you ever want to look them up, I think there should be a documentary done on the family, because they were very similar to the Kennedys, with large fortune, but yet terrible tragedies one after another, almost like they were cursed. But we were standing in front of my wife and I were there to do a documentary. We're in part of a documentary, and we're waiting and waiting for them to get to us. We were there like over 2 hours, and they finally finished filming. Oh, I'm sorry we didn't get to you. But anyway, Sandra had her tape recorder on. And when we came home, we listened to it. And all of a sudden we heard a woman's voice say, "Time," very gently. And we were standing in front of the old grandfather clock.
Oh,
just a woman's voice gently saying "time." It's worth being there.
Many of these spirit voices that are recorded are incidental. It's not always where you're waiting and hoping you get something. Sometimes that works, but which is very tantamount to a seance. One show, Paranormal State, which Keith was on a couple of episodes of that. I was on one. They would commonly have a session where they tried to communicate with the spirit of the house if somebody was experiencing a haunting. And they'd be sitting around, the team would be sitting around with maybe candlelight, certainly dim light, and they'd be asking questions in the recording. That has the hallmarks of a seance. They wouldn't call it a seance.
Right.
Yeah, my friend Christian, he says, who's interested in paranormal research, but takes a very mundane view of it. He said, when is a seance not a seance? When you call it something else. So, but it's some of these are just incidental. You have a recorder going, and there they are. I've heard an AVP, audible voice phenomena, where actually I heard the voice, and it was one that I'd heard in Slater Mills. The only time anything seemed to follow me out of that environment, that locale. And I was driving, and this thing had manifested. It was like it was trying to speak, but couldn't quite get intone the words. It came out with something very strange. It was like English sideways, or language sideways. And everybody, even the tourist, heard it. It was in the 1758 house in the Slater Mill site. And it was just like trying to be a language.
Right.
And well, some months later, I was driving on North Situate. I took a right turn from Rocky Hill Road onto Elmdale Road, which means nothing to you. And I was turning, and as I was taking the corner, I heard in the seat next to me. I was alone in the car. I heard in the seat next to me exactly that sound, just closer to me.
Wow.
And I just said, "I hear you." It's like it was seeking me. Like, where's the nice person who knows there are spirits here? You know?
Right.
Where's the nice person who speaks to us? And I just said, "I hear you." I haven't experienced this since, but I said, "I hear you. I know you're trying to get in touch. I miss you too." You know,
That could be the lady that's around you also.
Right.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe crying. Yeah.
It's like it couldn't quite cross the barrier, the dimensional barrier,
Right.
But that's as much trying to make a sound that I would understand. I did understand it enough to know it was what I heard before and was trying to get in touch with me. Maybe
Recognized
that's
it,
all
yes.
I needed to know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. In Slater Mill, the Slater Mill complex, there's the Sylvanus Brown House Carl mentioned that was a private residence originally. And I was opening up because we were expecting school children that day. It was a winter morning. I was opening up. I had my winter boots on, of course, and I
Frequent school children.
clumping up the stairs. But I just, for the sake of it, I had my tape recorder going. And when I played it back, you hear my footsteps clunking up the stairs. All of a sudden, a woman's voice very gently says, "Quiet." It's just,
They
this
want
is
to be
quiet.
involved.
So after that, I don't know what that spirit was, but just to be respectful, I always walked very quietly after that. Just out of respect.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys ever had anything follow you back home after doing an investigation? Or
You have.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. Except I played a recording that I didn't hear the voice at the time and played it back when I got went back to where I was living at the apartment. But yeah, that time definitely followed me. I have no question that something followed me, and probably something has come. I've felt a presence with me and felt like it touching me, but it wouldn't last too long. It wouldn't come back with the same strength it had when I first experienced it, the same presence, I'll say. But yeah, not anything that bothered me, not anything that I thought was haunting me.
Yeah, I don't think
Except
something.
back in the Ouija board
Yeah,
days, I did that. Yeah.
I don't really want anything in my house. Of course, obviously.
Oh, sure you do.
Not the exception. Both my family here and everything.
Well, I'm gonna think.
It was some years ago. It was Labor Day, and it just midnight, just reached midnight. And I was writing in my journal. All of a sudden, I heard 3 knocks on the wall, on the door, on the front door. Three evenly spaced knocks, and so I don't know who would that be at midnight. So I got up and I was praying as I went to the door. I opened it up, nobody there, but I immediately went to the door. Nobody there. I didn't hear anybody run away. I even went out to the road and looked up and down. Nobody in sight.
Yeah, I've had some corroboration with that. Living with my mother, in Greenville, Rhode Island.
I made sure I didn't invite
Warwick and then in Greenville, we heard knocks and back. 3 distinct knocks. I mean, nothing unusual except that who's knocking.
Yeah, that was inside.
You heard that, inside. In an apartment complex, and I naturally thought it didn't even sound supernatural until I go and I open up the door and nobody's there. I thought, is somebody goofing with me? No, you certainly would hear them running down to that hall. And one time at least once, my mother heard it too. She said, "Do you suppose my father had passed away?" And she said, "Do you suppose it's your father?" I said, "I don't know. I'd like to think so." Now, some fundamentalists might say, "Don't open the door if you hear 3 knocks. That's the demon." I don't.
Yeah.
If suppose it is my father, I want to welcome him and say, "I hear you. I'm sturdy enough. I'll be okay with it."
Well, I opened the door, but I made sure not to invite anything in. And I prayed as I came to open up the door for protection, and nobody was there, and I didn't see anybody. But I think it was just letting me know I was being watched at that point.
Yeah. By the way, we appreciate the questions and comments. I can't see them because I left my glasses downstairs, but you can read them, It comes up. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned you guys had met Ed and Lorraine Warren. What did you learn from those guys? What did they teach you or pass on to you?
Mostly to prepare yourself before going. I could give a glib answer, but I'll say to be prepared. Before you go in, don't just walk in and think you can handle it or it's not going to spook you. Always, whatever fortifies you, self-meditation, prayer, combining both, perhaps fasting the day before if you know you're going to go to a residence. Just even have a mindset that you're not going to be thrown off of your purpose. That's what I learned primarily from Ed and Lorraine. Some techniques about investigating too.
Right.
But
cool. That's really cool that they were able to pass on that knowledge to you, especially during that time frame when a lot of people were skeptics at some time.
Yeah. Well, that's what the Warrens were dealing with, and what Keith and I were. You get kind of ostracized. All the ghost guys.
Yeah. There were very few people that did what Ed and Lorraine did, and there were very few people that did what we do. Back then, we were pariahs.
Yeah, it was
very
anathema back then. You just didn't do those things. You know, used to walk through the village in Situate where I grew up, and then people pull down the shades when they saw me walking by.
Oh no!
But it was formative. Yeah, though people are very, especially in a small town, they're very spooked by that.
Yeah, somebody was just in the Baker house, and they saw a pair of red eyes there.
Oh, I've heard of that's a phenomenon people have reported seeing the red eyes. They've come out in photographs in different locations.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, and I live in a small southern town, so imagine growing up. I didn't accept any of this until, I guess you would call recently, years ago now, but for years I was told you can't tell anybody, shh, don't do that. You just didn't tell anybody. And then now it's more mainstream, I guess would be the best word.
Oh, yeah.
But,
I wish I didn't tell so many people when I was in my teens. But I interject my best memory of Ed and Lorraine Warren, although I investigated with the Warrens. I lectured with them a couple of times, and I have pro and con I could say about their methodologies, but my best single memory of Ed and Lorraine is when they had dinner at my parents' house.
Oh yeah, that was.
And our parents.
A couple of times they had dinner at our house.
They were the same age, and they within a year of each other, they hit it off.
Oh yeah, my mother and Lorraine.
Yeah, my father was a funny man.
My dad and Ed Warren had the same humor.
My father had an excellent sense of humor, and it was like, and my father said something funny. And
they said, Ed, you find any spirits here can pay some bills around here?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And my mother had a beautiful hutch cabinet, with memorabilia. And I remember Lorraine saying they were within an age. I think my mother was some months older than she, but said, "Oh, Beverly, I have to ask you about your curios here. Now, what is this item?" She said, "Well, that is from my great aunt, and that came from the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago. Oh, you must treasure that." Yeah. And they were talking. They just hit it off, and we're talking like old friends.
Yeah.
None of the talk about the ghosties, except the joke about it some. And it's just it's a good memory.
Somebody just said they're on the fence about the Warrens' involvement with the Enfield case. And I heard that they really they weren't there very long, just maybe a day or so like that.
A lot of that was fudged, I will say. I mean,
the movies, they have to, of course, be sensational. And of course.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I could do some pro and some con. I enjoyed having the Warrens around. They give fantastic lectures. They were just very entertaining and informative and mood evocative. But I didn't agree with the way they handled some things. They certainly didn't agree with the way I handled some things. They said I shouldn't. I should stay away from it. No, you're too vulnerable. You're too young. Stay away. You must never attempt to speak to the dead. I'm thinking you do that every weekend.
Right.
Yeah. So it was. It wasn't always seeing eye to eye. Let's say that.
Sometimes you just have to agree to disagree.
Yeah, right. That's true. But Ed was very charismatic. Yeah.
And plus, everybody's got their own way of doing things. Like you would have your way of doing it. I would have mine.
Right.
Gwen would have theirs. And what works best for you is what you stick with.
Yeah. I mean, I could give a half-hour talk. I could have two podiums set up at a lecture. I could give a half an hour devoted to why the Warrens were wrong and why, how they shouldn't have done certain things certain ways, and I could criticize. Then I could go over to the other podium and promote them and say, well, what a good experience it was to be around them. But I would like to have another hour. We all wish things like this. I would like to have another hour with Ed and Lorraine, just to talk shop and just to be with them and just to go out to dinner or whatever, to be in their company again, because they were engaging people, really. Well, I
have a question for you guys.
Yes.
And not to rush off of that, but some people.
Oh, I said, but
yeah. So you guys, I know I'm going to Salem. Of course, Thomas is usually on the chat, which we love him, and I do serial killer show with him also. Ooh. And but are both of you coming? You're like as a family?
I don't know if Keith will be able to swing it.
We'll have to see. Have to see if I can make it.
By the way, you say serial killers, like you're flipping a switch with my brother. He's very informed.
Yes. Yeah, that's
well,
one of my
we have
favorite
a
topics.
show on Mondays. Letriana Brown, who is my partner in the network.
Oh yes,
I know.
Yeah, right, Letriana. Thomas, our friend Blaine Rohan, who is actually sick right now, so he's kind of going through treatment, and we miss him and love him. And I know if he watches this, he'll appreciate that. And myself. Tomorrow night we have James Stokes, who is also going to be at Salem. He did Jason Voorhees. He's a real cool guy. I may have the picture, but you may know who I'm talking about. But anyway, we have them tomorrow night. But we get into it. It's called Serial Killers, Supernatural, and Murderers. It's kind of covers some of that, and we talk about different things. It's not your typical serial killer show. We talk about it, but then we say, well, what if, or what if?
Speculation about what if things went a little differently, or it could have been done differently. Yeah, my brother's when it comes to those topics, he's the walking encyclopedia.
Well, we're gonna have to have you on one of the episodes then. Definitely.
I saw this cartoon. Well, it wasn't a cartoon; it was a photo recently. It's a dark cartoon. Very dark humor. Very dark humor. It just kind of cracked me up. It showed a picture of Ed Gein, who Monsters on Netflix. And
unsavory character.
Real photograph of him with his familiar plaid jacket on, his hat. He's got a little bit of a smile, and it says, "Back in the 1950s, we made our own Halloween costumes."
Oh man!
You get the inside joke.
You get the inside. This man is the model for Leatherface, for Norman Bates. I mean, and Buffalo Bill and Silence of the Lambs. All three characters are loosely based on the same person.
He's almost too much of a grotesquerie to talk about.
He is. We did one episode on him. Well, actually, we mentioned him, and he's a whole lot.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how to put it in it. Yeah, he's a whole lot. But
he didn't just murder; he peeled.
Yeah.
And he robbed graves too. And I mean, he's the same species as me, and it's hard to reconcile with that.
That's almost the same. It's like almost impossible what he did. He'd go out, dig a grave, take what he wanted, then cover it back up so it wouldn't be traced sometimes, and he'd take it home, and he'd say he had no memory of doing that. That's what he said. And he was diagnosed eventually as schizophrenic. But
that's an understatement.
I don't know. Would he not have? In my head, I'm going, really? Would he not have any memory at all?
This is what he said. This is what he said. Yeah.
Thank you.
But very unassuming person to physically. He had a very high-pitched voice, very, nonchalant talking. And yet he did these. It's just unbelievable.
Well, he was the worst kind of evil. And he was obviously crazy and unbalanced, but he was immoral. No empathy for another creature. He couldn't feel bad. But, and he was a very average, unassuming looking guy.
A lot of them are.
Yeah, you'd think he'd be working in a gas station in the 1960s. But you look in the eyes. Of course, it's black and white photographs from the 50s and 60s of him. But you look in the eyes, there's evil there. And I'm not one that gets into the personifications of evil so much. But you look at him. Yeah, that's an evil creature, an evil person. Eyes are spooky.
I talk about that a lot on the show.
Yeah,
about the eyes. Some people you can just tell something's not quite right. And I've met some people like that, and
they say the eyes are the soul eyes are the windows of the soul.
Windows of the soul.
And you look into them, and you can tell in depth something's not right in there.
Oh yeah. There's nothing looking back sometimes.
And I'm not willing to get since it's like the demons control people and they make them do evil deeds. But you look at him, I kind of waver on that, because he seemed to be a personification of the malice thing.
Yeah, but I think Jack the Ripper probably was at the crime scene the next day, along with all the other people. He even supposedly wrote to the police that's what he. I was right there the next day and taunting the police to try to catch him. And there is quite a lot of evidence for Kosminski possibly being the Ripper for those who study the cases. But as far as we know, he was never captured and just committed the 5, probably many, many more, but the 5 canonical murders and then just stopped abruptly.
By the way, if you ever have a show, your show about killings and mayhem, if you don't have any notes on, let's say, Jack the Ripper, you don't need them. Just call on Keith.
What's up, Keith? What's up,
Press
man?
Press start and say, Keith, Jack the Ripper. Just sit back. You'll hear it because he knows a lot.
See, I think that's awesome because we sit back and we kind of go, okay, this, but even everybody has a different way of putting just a little bit more into it. So that would be awesome.
And if you tell Keith, when you unleash him and say, now give a graphic description, don't hold back on what you know.
Yeah, Kathy just said Jack the Ripper's wife killed with him also.
Oh, wow.
That's the thing. We don't know for sure. We don't
Jack
know.
and Jill the Ripper. That's some people.
Yeah, that would kind of make sense.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it would anyway. Yeah.
And then there's
I've never had that
Holmes,
level of cooperation anyway. But.
Right. There's so many interesting. The H.H. Holmes and
yes,
Lizzie Borden murders and interesting. Years ago we were in the Lizzie Borden house, and there's the ship in Lizzie's bedroom that her father sent on her European vacation in. And that's the ship that she took to go to Europe. And one of our team members, David Grist, who's been with us for many years, he just stares at it and he says, "That's the ship my family came to America on originally from England." He recognized it. The same ship that Lizzie Borden took for a European vacation. And we were just there investigating, doing a documentary on it. And he recognizes the ship. That's the ship his family came over on.
If you want to do a show on specifically on synchronicity, well, we could do it. We could talk for an hour on that too, because you must know the synchronicity is a very real force. I swim through it.
Is
most definitely.
People can argue, well, that's just coincidence. I said, well, yeah, it's coincidence, but not just coincidence. Now let the coincidences keep coming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I meet people and then we find out like, oh, we were at the same this.
Yes.
But we never. If we saw each other, it didn't click. And it's amazing. I know somebody that's actually from Canada, and when we were teenagers, we were at the same concert in the same like VIP room, which there's not a lot of people, and then we met each other years later and we're like, oh, were you? And yeah, and they were like, okay. So we went back and looked at pictures. We were in the same picture.
Oh really?
Goodness.
Yeah, that was just kind of one of those. That's crazy. So yeah. Wow. Well, we've kept you guys an hour and 20, and we could talk all night. I know, but is there anything that's coming up for you guys that you would like to?
I think he wants to field Kathy's question.
Kathy just said that she has H.H. Holmes' wife Wilhelmina in a vessel. She has that.
Oh.
As long as she doesn't let her out.
That's totally cut out.
I hope she doesn't mean in a physical sense.
Genie in a bottle there.
Yeah. Well, we have Salem Con coming up on the 15th of November. Salem Con is coming up, and I'm on the lecture circuit as much as I can. I've been somewhat active over the summer with going to paranormal conferences, and I'm working on my second book. My book is that's been published. It's been out since 2017, and that is Shadow Realms Demonology Handbook. But I'm working on a sequel to that.
Oh, wow.
Halloween night, I do have plans. My landlord is also my friend. We're having a Halloween party in our backyard, but it's not pin the tail on the donkey or anything. We're going to
have a bonfire.
Oh yes. We have a fire.
Throwing those bones, yes, right.
Yeah.
Throwing the bones. Yeah. So what are you dressing up as?
Yeah, what are you going to be?
Well, I sent you one picture of this. I have a persona. I have a dual identity. His name is Noctua, but normally referred to as the Birdman.
I thought it was Batman.
Well, I get called Batman. What I hear when I wear this costume is Zorro, Batman, the devil himself. And I've been performing this primarily at the series of events called Waterfire Providence. It's an art installation at Waterfire Providence. And I've been doing this for 21 years, not every weekend, but it's the Birdman. And most people don't know it's me. I don't think anybody knows it's me. No, the Birdman, he's here. He's like a dark superhero in a way. And once the children, they're startled, but the children love me. The adults are scared, but especially when they see that coming out of the shadows. But the parents will say, oh, the little girl and the little boy, they're afraid of you. And I'll walk up to them and I'll go, with my gloved hand, shake their hands. 20 minutes later, they're saying, "I don't want to leave you." A little girl asked me, "Can you come to my house for Halloween?"
Your parents are going, "No, honey."
Yeah, no, and I don't want to commit to that
There's
because then it's like,
there's another career angle.
that's because if I tell her I'm definitely coming, then I have to fulfill it, and I can't do anything else then, right? But we do have a nice Halloween party coming up.
Nice.
Kind of paganistic in a way.
Yeah.
And the trick-or-treaters are around.
I'm still doing my show, Ghost Star Near, which is on YouTube.
Very good quality.
Ghost Star Near, thank you. It's a paranormal talk show, but we do go on location too. And I'm currently working on 2 possession cases at once, and it's that can be a little draining. But one of them is in Massachusetts, and it involves a young woman who's special needs, but she has a second sight too. She sees deceased relatives. She talks to them. Some she's never met them, but she can describe them. She's never seen a photograph, but she can describe them. And very, my heart goes out to this young woman, and trying to help all we can.
Good.
Because they've been subjected to ridicule, even from their parish priest, who wouldn't even shake their hand when they're going out of the church after mass, and that's
a shame.
Unfortunate. But priests are human too.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
Evil to
So
be
how can
avoided.
everybody get in touch with you guys if they have a question or a problem or?
They can call you fine folks and ask
Yeah,
them.
they actually can.
Well, the name of my team is let me see, it's gone by different names over the, as we've gone on, but let's see, I'm trying to think of the way. Panorama Paranormal is probably the easiest way. That's the name of our team, Panorama Paranormal, kind of tongue twister. But our email address is just panoramaparanormal.com. It's as simple as that. We were lucky to get that domain.
Yes.
Panorama Paranormal. Just look up on Carl L. Johnson on Facebook. I'm sure I'm the only Carl L. Johnson in the state of Rhode Island who's a demonologist. So
I would think so.
Yeah. I'm not that hard to get in touch with. So Panorama Paranormal is what I first recommend.
Yeah.
Or you can find my email through my page on Facebook.
And my contact is very easy. Simply Ghost Star Near or nearparanormal.com. That's our group, New England Anomalies Research. Nearparanormal.com. Or Keith and Sandra Johnson. We're very easy to find.
Oh, I can't remember that.
And I think
what does NEAR stand for?
New England Anomalies Research. Yeah.
New England Anomalies Research. Yeah.
I think Father Bob Bailey would never shun somebody who went to shake hands with him, a parishioner after mass.
No, he wouldn't do that.
I have never had the privilege to meet him in person, but I've had him on many, I think 3 or 4 of the podcasts, and he has the sweetest, I'll say, energy about him, and the way he talks to you, and just I hope one day that I do get to meet him in person, and I tell him that he just
he's got quite a sense of humor too,
Well,
I actually got to meet Father Bob at the Rock Island Roadhouse when I seen Annabelle.
And I was supposed to be there, but I had to come home because of my knee injury, so that I missed it, and I was like, that is not all these people that I wanted to see, and I was like, oh, that is not fair.
Are you familiar with Danny Rivera? Dan Rivera, who was the custodian of, he would train
Nesper, New England Anomalies.
Yes.
Tony Spera, and he was in charge of the expose where they took Annabelle on the road, especially in Gettysburg. The doll would be shown.
We sadly lost him in July, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
54 years old.
Totally unexpected. Now that the day after he died, I was contacted by a local television station, WJR-TV. And they asked if I would consent to an interview about Dan, who I knew, and many of us did. And I said, yeah, let's meet at the local park in North Providence, Rhode Island. And so I guess they wanted me to say, he ran it. He shouldn't have had that doll. It was dangerous. He shouldn't have been showing it. I didn't even mention the Annabelle doll. I just said he was a splendid person to work with. Very organized and an innovator. But
Well, I feel bad that we lost him, but the day he passed, he'd just done a weekend. He'd done several weekends in a row, just doing what he loved to do, talking about animal, talking about there's help for people who are oppressed, and just connecting with the public. Then he just took a nap and never woke up. doing what he loved to do. So he did not suffer.
Despite his early departure, Dan was a success story. I consider him that. I learned from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a very nice tribute set up for him there when we were visiting too. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and if I had talked about the connection with the doll, which there wasn't, except that he was the custodian and the manager.
Right. I don't think it's Annabelle.
It might have gotten more viewers, but I wasn't going to go there. I didn't even think of mentioning the doll. It was Dan, a splendid person, a colleague.
He knew what he was doing. He knew how to protect himself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's anything to do with Annabelle. It was just his time.
That's natural that people would wonder.
Right.
Yeah, but like I say, not everything is a demon. And a lot of people want it to be. It's just not.
Well, it gets more press, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
No.
Clickbait. Clickbait.
Yeah.
If I was an angelologist, maybe people wouldn't be nervous being around me, but I wouldn't get invited to as many parties either. So.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, there are angelologists. Nobody knows them.
You see him as the Birdman, though. You should hire him for your.
Well, he sent me pictures. That. I just don't have them loaded up, but he did send me pictures, and I was like, I wonder if that's what he's going to be. That's one reason I asked.
Well, it would be distracting. We wouldn't have the twin factor, and and people that keep looking over to the side of the screen.
Carl, talk in your Birdman voice. Talk in the bird voice.
Well, how do I talk?
Well, how you talk.
Well, it gets people go. Good evening to you. And it's basically a good evening to you. And I've had some interesting encounters in that costume. I've been asked to dance sometimes. I've heard, can you take off your mask? I want to see what you look like. I want to kiss you. And I'd say, it's a Phantom of the Opera lure. I'd say, my dear lady, I would not wish to disappoint you. For all you know, I could be quite ugly. Oh, you couldn't be ugly, not with those eyes and that voice. Trust me, I can be ugly. But it's basically, like just deep and, mellow, well-modulated voice. Good evening to you. And I'll get asked, sometimes they're a little sarcastic. What are you supposed to be? I'll say, I'm a clown. a dark clown. So I finally had business cards printed so I can, hand them out to people when they ask, what is your mission? Why are you here? I mean, it should be obvious I'm a person in a costume. Just,
then again, he takes his mask off at the end of the night. I've been sweating in this all night.
Yeah.
He's out there in the middle of summer, So.
Is this what you wanted, girlie? He's supposed to be now. Yeah. No, it's just, well-managed, very polite and courteous. But, with the children, I just I get to where I want to entertain them, and they bond with me. Now, I don't have children of my own, so they don't realize that they don't know any better. They hug me. Now, I don't want to leave you. I get tears in my eyes when that happens. I must be doing something right.
Do you remember actor Glenn Strange? He was played the Frankenstein monster a number of times.
Very
big man, yeah. And he was Abbott Costello, Meet Frankenstein, and he was on Gunsmoke. Yeah, he was
bartender.
That's true. Yes.
Go the bartender and everything.
When you see an image of the Frankenstein monster, very often it's Glenn Strange in his makeup. Yeah.
But he said he used to take off that headpiece. And it was just like a bucket of water just spilled right out. That's how much dehydrated and sweaty.
That's something you want to go to bed with on that. Yeah. Glenn Strange, but he had this very chiseled face, non-expressive, lines in his cheeks.
Great actor.
He was good for that.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to seeing the new Frankenstein movie that's come out. It's more based on the Mary Shelley novel, but it does have some different twist to it. So.
Yeah. Is it out already?
Yeah. It's out in the theaters, limited run till November 7th. Then it's going right to Netflix.
Okay.
Oh, really? Well, if I want to see it in the theater, I better.
Yeah, you better go get your popcorn.
Yeah.
You use the bathroom first because it's 2.5 hours long. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
For me, I hope they have an intermission. Yeah.
That's a Netflix thing for sure. That way you can pause it and go to the bathroom.
Yes. Yeah.
And before we leave, I got to mention one other thing. You know what has more than anything else has defined our modern concept of what constitutes a demon is a movie it was the book that was written in 1972. The movie came out in 1973 by William Peter Blatty, The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
That showed what demonic, because that was taken from transcripts of exorcisms and how demons manifested Of course, it was a lot of psychoses and fits, but that was demonic possession back in the 14 and 1500s. And that hasn't changed much. That concept of what a demon is, takes over somebody, makes them thrash about, makes them speak in foul words.
If you read the book and how it's a man the priest who's struggling with his faith as it is, blames himself for the loss of his mother because he's sworn to poverty, and but the way that demon just breaks him down chapter after chapter, just chisels away at his psyche and his personality. Like she pretends violently thrashing about when he throws tap water on it that hasn't been blessed, and there goes my proof of possession. And next time he comes in, hey, nice job with the tap water, Karis. And
most people, when you
just
say,
got his mind just
the
like
Exorcist,
a basketball.
The Exorcist, scary movie. But that is a masterful novel by William Peter Blatty, and he attended seminary in Georgiaville, where some of the movie is set, and
that's how we found out about the true story.
But the demon is toying with him, and it's so masterfully done. You're never sure if it was something supernatural or if it was psychosis. And the demon toys with him, like reveals some things and says, "Oh, this is just the psychotic." This little girl's having psychotic episodes, but they never can pinpoint what's brought them on. And they do get back. They get into it that her parents are divorcing, and well, actually, they have divorced. But she's hoping that her parents will get back together, and her father is like traveling in Europe, and he didn't call her on her birthday, but then he called.
Yeah, didn't even call her on her 12th birthday. So she develops a fantasy character. Her father's name was Howard. Her fantasy image is Captain Howdy, a spirit named Captain Howdy, and it works its way through the Ouija board that she's playing with, and pretends it's Captain Howdy, and that's how it starts. That's how it gains entrance into the house and into her mind, because she's so dependent. She's just a fragile 12-year-old psychologically. So, but she's not the intended victim. She's the two priests, Father Karras and Father Merrin. They are the intended victims, not the little girl. She's just the instrument that it works through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you can say, fascinated by this, but at the end you're saying, I don't know if that was a supernatural entity or was it a demon, or was it the little girl's mind, or, but the demon, let's call it the demon, as it's referred to in the novel, toys with Father Karras, makes him think it's real, and then maybe it's not real, and maybe it is real. That I think that's just wonderfully done. Because he's never quite sure. Towards the end, then he knows.
That's good though. That makes you think.
Then he knows what he's coming up against.
It doesn't give you the exact answers. It makes you think.
Right. It does make you think.
And the movie with that music, Tubular Bells, ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
that is a riveting movie.
Yeah.
I love scary movies.
Yeah. I'll say about Ed and Lorraine Warren, when I met the Warrens in April 1972, they were billed as the ghost hunting couple. And then with the advent of The Exorcist in late 1973, and released in theaters in 1974, most of the theaters. In 1974, Ed Warren became billed as a demonologist. I think that had I think it had everything to do with the release of The Exorcist. He was known as the only authentic lay demonologist. Other than that, they had to be Catholic priest. But that's when he became, the advent of The Exorcist, he became a demonologist, billed as a demonologist.
Interesting that the bit of trivia, the musical score for The Exorcist was never used for The Exorcist. It was thrown out there. They decided the last minute not to use it, and they substituted the area Tubular Bells, and for the theme, for the main thing. But that theme, the music for The Exorcist, was used. It was transferred to the Amityville Horror. So that's the original soundtrack to The Exorcist.
I didn't know that. I just know that Tubular Bells are composed by Mike Oldfield when he was 17 years of age. And it was just a haunting, tune. And it was perfect for The Exorcist. They made the right decision rather than use scary, regular scary.
Everybody has heard that music.
Yeah. It's funny. The first time we went to see it, my sister was sitting with her boyfriend. She could not. She heard that voice. Her head was down her boyfriend's shoulder, and she did not look up to the end of that movie. Then, when the credits are starting to roll, she tries to get up. Her pierced earring is caught in her boyfriend's sweater,
Oh,
Manager came out with a pair of scissors and cut it out like that.
And of course, people in the theater, possessed, she's possessed.
Imagine that theater manager had that story to tell for many Thanksgivings.
I wish I could rig up. I'm sure I could if I wanted. I rig up my alarm, so I don't even use an alarm, but I don't sleep enough to use an alarm. But I'd like to rig it up so it just starts playing Tubular Bells, the Exorcist music. I'm like,
I would mess somebody up. Yeah.
that would get out of bed.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for having us on tonight.
Thank you for coming on, guys.
Notice my chair keeps moving back further away. It must be
with history repeating itself.
Psychokinesis here. Yeah. Just, yeah.
Oh, there's definitely a lot more we could definitely discuss.
Oh,
we'll have to have you guys back on again.
Yeah, you'll definitely. I'll get you on some of the shows on the network for different stuff. That would, because you guys are just you are into a lot of different things, so that's very cool.
Yes, well, tying the paranormal into quantum rather than standard, like edifying demonology. I want to establish demonology as a legitimate study. Again, remove it from the cobwebs of medieval thought. That has value, but its origins are fascinating. I get it. It will always be called demonology because nobody's going to care about it otherwise.
Right, that's true.
But it'll always have that little kind of scary element to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it ties in the propensities of the human mind.
It does.
Oh yeah,
maladies.
It does. Well, do you guys have a few minutes that you can stay in the back when we finish the show? Because I was going to ask you a couple of things, if that's okay.
Oh,
certainly.
You can ask. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm going to do it after the show because we.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
We ran a little bit over that what we usually do, which is fine.
That's fine.
I'm all ears, guys.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I am going to say once again from me, the network, and Shawn also talking for him for a minute. He'll go, "What are you doing?" But thank you guys really for coming on.
If you'll hold on just a couple minutes. I thought it would be. This has been great.
All right. I'm gonna pull you down, and we're gonna get out of here, and then we'll talk with you in just a minute.
We won't leave the room.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh man, I can talk with those guys all night long, and
I know.
Especially that case he started talking about. The very first case I had was almost similar. The little boy that experienced the thing that he had, he picked up a noose around a cemetery, and that's how his all started.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. Just us talking about it. And I remember he had gotten something, but a noose. Well, that's not good. Don't pick up a noose, people. Don't pick up anything.
He picked it up out of the cemetery, and that's how all his started. And like I said, I understood exactly what those guys are talking about with the energy being around and everything else. And I thought that was interesting. I love talking about experiences and how it's been handled.
Yeah, exactly. So, Shawn, tell us what you have going on this week, because I know you have some interesting stuff.
Well, this week I will be live from Melbourne Manor on a live investigation with Phantom Pals. So I will be there on an overnighter. Also, this coming Sunday, I will have Lori Potvin. She will be on the show Sunday. And then on November 7th, I will be at Rock Island Arsenal with Illinois Paranormal Research. We're going to be live from there too as well.
Gotcha. Well, I am kind of on the sick and injured list. I can't get out and do anything, but we have we're not going to talk about it a whole lot, but my little group here, Litriana, her husband, Matt, who is the strong man behind us all. He'll laugh at that, but we have an investigation.
Superman.
Yeah, we call him Clark Kent, guys. He has that little curl, his glasses, and he's sitting there going, right now, if he's watching this. So.
Oh, I know he is, because like I said, the first time I met him, that's exactly who he reminds me of, Clark Kent and Superman.
Yeah, yeah. But we are going somewhere on the 1st, November 1st, and do an investigation. Never been investigated before. It's a historical place. I will say this: it used to be a jail, and the sheriff or whatever he was lived. I can't remember on top or the bottom, and then the jail was on. It was. I don't know which one. I can't remember, to be honest with you, but we're not sure what we're doing on Halloween. So check out the channel. We may be doing something special, which would be very cool. And you may even get to see us dressed up, which I love to do. that I don't get a chance to as much as I want to. And this week we have, I did a little live earlier, but we have some really interesting people, interesting things going on this week. So, check out the channel. We have stuff Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday is our one day that we normally don't have much. That's the day we have specials on, but who knows? You may have a special. Maybe not. I don't know.
Well, like I said, definitely check out the insignia when it pops up, because we could be live from Melbourne Manor that night.
And we're probably, and if we don't have anything else going on, I may be sitting back here letting him go live and seeing what's going on. Since I can't get out myself, I probably may have to do that. So if you don't know, I bounce off the walls when I'm stuck inside. So, and also don't forget, and Thomas will love this, Salem Paracon, November 15th in Salem, Massachusetts. And I can't wait to go. Carl's going to be there, and I'm going to play the commercial again, if that's okay with you, Shawn.
That's fine.
There are so many people and so many interesting things. And, I got to give it to Thomas. They do great events, and hope he's blushing while I'm saying this, but they really do. They really do.
Hopefully next year I can make it to that one. So
yeah, but there have been plenty of them this year, and I got to say, I've been to quite a few, and just they're great. His things are always well put together. So, and like I said, I'll get to see Carl there. Hopefully Keith will get to come, and just a bunch of different folks. So. Shawn, why don't you close it out and let's play that commercial one more time?
All right, go for it. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you sometime this week from Melbourne Manor.
All right.